We did rehearse, I promise. There's a lot of slides. We forget what order they come in. So what I'm going to talk now is the next step in creating a character class, which is what we call signature skills. And essentially, signature skills are where we bring the design and the art together. So we focus on a small set of skills. We pick something really cool to work on, and basically focusing on defining what that character is all about. Now, when we start working on a character and coming up with skills, it's really easy to come up with, we probably sit in a room and come up with 100 skills. Coming up with ideas for them is not hard. But we don't decide we're going to make 100 skills. We decide, okay, well, what's one that's really cool and really defining for us? So we pick the one that we like the most, that we think is the most descriptive of those characters, and that's the skill we go with. When we do that, it's really important. We have kind of one of our sayings, which is on the slide, which is don't balance too soon. The goal here is not to create a skill that we feel is going to make for really balanced, fair gameplay. The point of this is to make a skill that is going to make people go, whoa, that was really awesome. And sometimes really awesome is easily edited when you're talking too much about balance too soon. And I don't mean to trivialize balance. Balance is really important, and we've always placed a lot of importance on balance, but it comes at a certain phase, and the beginning is not where it comes. At the beginning, you're just trying to make every single hero as awesome as you can possibly do. One of the things that actually, kind of a cool thing that happens is as we work on each new hero, we have a little bit of an arms race where the next hero is even slightly more awesome, so then we go back and make the first hero even a little more awesome. So that's kind of a fun back and forth, but it just makes the characters better and better over time. So focusing on a couple of these signature skills, the first one is the Barbarian. Seismic Slam. This is basically a skill where the Barbarian raises a weapon above his head, slams it on the ground, and essentially anything in kind of a cone in front of him gets just kind of rocked and destroyed. So this skill was the very first skill we actually made for the Barbarian, and probably one of the first skills we made for the entire game. It took a lot longer to make this skill than it takes to make most skills. We did a lot of iteration in the animation department in particular, because trying to make the Barbarian feel physically powerful, generally we associate kind of big, bold movements with physical power, but if you want a game that plays really fast and feels responsive, you want the movements to be really fast. And so getting that balance of fast movements with really but a powerful feel was a big challenge, and we had to try a bunch of different ways that we can animate it to get that right. So once we did that, got through kind of all that iteration, what was funny was we really didn't like the skill for most of the time. We got the programming done on it, and I don't know, it doesn't seem that great. We got effects on it, and the effects were really cool, but somehow it just didn't sing to us. It wasn't until we actually got sound on the skill that we finally went, wow, this skill's really awesome. This is really fun. And the key to that, I think, is that it takes a lot of faith to get through this process. But once you do get through that process, all the skills that come after that come much quicker, because everyone looks and goes, oh, what is the Barbarian about? Well, freaking look at Seismic Slam. He rocks the world with like great physical power. And the next 4 or 5 skills we did for the Barbarian almost required no communication between design and art, because art already knew what the Barbarian was all about, and design already knew what we were designing for. We had a great skill that acted as an example. So the next one I want to talk about is Witch Doctor, Firebomb, which went through kind of an interesting evolution. One of the first skills we did for the Witch Doctor, and originally it was more like a fireball spell. So when you cast it, you cast it in a direct line from the Witch Doctor to your target. So it would, pretty much anything got in the way, it would hit that and it would explode. And we figured that would be cool because explosions are cool. Everybody likes explosions. Does everybody here like explosions? Yeah? Yeah. I like explosions. I figured you would. So the problem was, it wasn't really a problem. I mean, it's a cool skill, but we've all seen it. And what the artist came back and said was, well, we didn't really imagine the Witch Doctor like this guy. We imagined him actually with his magic being more physical. So we thought maybe he would be concocting some kind of crazy magical alchemical thing, stick it inside a skull, and that would be the bomb. That would be what would explode. And once it was a physical projectile, which designers thought, well, that sounds really cool, let's do that. But once it was a physical projectile, we didn't want it to travel in a straight line anymore. We wanted to have it thrown like a projectile. So it became an arcing projectile. It could be thrown over walls, but that really changes the gameplay a lot. You have to be a little more predictive with its location, but it's got some advantages in that you can avoid obstacles and hit the exact target you want. It's a great example of how art and design can work together to iterate really well to make a very original, very cool skill. Now, the last thing we did was the artist really wanted to put this image of the witch doctor into the fire effect, and I think you could see it a little bit there, but basically when the fire goes off, it's like this big kind of form of his hands and face, and we just thought that was so cool. We actually did it with a lot of other skills. The Horrify skill, a Mass Confuse, and again, it just kind of shows how that one first skill can inform a whole class. So to kind of sum up, this is essentially how we develop skills. We just kind of rinse and repeat this idea. You know, the first few are, you know, really take some time. They're really hard to do, but after that, the rest come much, much easier and makes for a really cool character.